Good afternoon, Jost. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Perhaps if we just start with a brief introduction.
Yes, my name is Jost Buthmann. I work for Vandemoortele out of Ghent, here in Belgium. And we are one of Europe's leaders in food manufacturing, margarines and frozen bakery.
Well, I can tell you that your products are pretty good. We've already sampled some of them just this morning, as it turns out, in our own coffee break.
Yeah, that's wonderful for me to see. The difficulty is you always eat too many of them. But it's good for the business.
Now, obviously, you're not just here to sell us eclairs. You're actually speaking on a panel session tomorrow.
Yes, I'm delighted to have the opportunity to be part of that panel tomorrow, and specifically in the context of how to make purchasing strategies really spread across, and the thinking of purchasing strategies spread across your own company and enterprise.
So what are you looking to bring to that debate then?
Well, the main question really is that in the food producing, with a lot of volatility in our existing raw material base, we're still confronted with a huge challenge for this year and next year based on ever-repeating crisis. We're depending on regrown crops on an annual basis, right? Nothing we can plan ahead for 2 or 3 years, except that Mother Nature and the Lord will play it differently, and we always have to adjust a little bit.
So would you say that then climate change is having a big impact on the business?
Sooner or later, yes, they will. I am deeply convinced they will, because we see things changing. Managing of crops, security of crops, yields of crops will substantially change, and that has a major impact.
And I suppose this is going to, it must be particularly difficult because equally we have a global financial crisis, which means people have less money to spend and therefore prices need to be knocked down, and that must cause quite a rift in many ways, that prices go up but cost goes up and prices come down.
It's perfectly well said. We're in a very deep crunch between exactly that situation on the consumer side and the volatility on the raw material, which is on our side. And it is absolutely crucial to find ways to manage that risk better than we did in the past.
How are you doing that?
Well, amongst others, with things like this conference, and come here and learn new stuff about how others do it, participate, do not reinvent the wheel, but go and look for the best in class that exists today. But of course, we're also doing this internally in a much closer alignment between quality, R&D, sales and purchasing or procurement, to make sure that we don't buy what our friends on the commercial side cannot sell, but also they should not sell what we cannot buy. So it's very simple terms to start with, but then also expand to the outside world to make sure that you really pick the best in class available.
So this really is quite demonstrably showing this change of the procurement role, where it's now moving very much away from simply bargaining for prices and moving into a real business driver, a real strategic role.
Yes, our internal policy even says that the key that we can bring to the party is a better supplier relationship management than our competitors do. Why is that? We deeply believe that there is a lot of smart purchasing and buyers out there also with our competitors. The real difference can be and should be in a better supplier relationship management, but that's a whole different arena of strategies, actions, people, drive that you need than just going for a new volume and a new price and a lower price.
So has this changed your recruitment position and how you go bringing in new talent?
Well, we're a small organization, and we're currently well positioned with a very good mix of men and women, old and experienced, young and less experienced. So from the recruitment side, we're fine. But of course, it does need some extra follow-up education and training and shift in focus. Yes.
Just one last thing I wanted to ask, which is obviously being in the food industry, cold chain and temperature control chain must be a hugely important and difficult, complex area. Yes. What are your key approaches to making that successful and dealing with that complexity?
Well, the key success here is really, first of all, doing our homework and really have a supply chain as efficient and effective as needs be, but also to reflecting the customer needs and make sure that wherever we can and as best as we can, we link with their central distribution warehouses rather than our own intermediate solutions, which are very costly, and never mind of the ecological footprint that we produce, which is also much more coming into perspective from those big customers that we like to do business with.
And just one last thing, what do you think your biggest project for 2013 is going to be, and how are you looking to step up to that plate?
Yeah, the biggest project at the moment, amongst others, is one in the UK where there's been a huge crisis on apples, but the UK is crazy about apple pies, and now the question is how and where to get a replacement from those originally UK-grown apples. But there is a constant push back on our wheat and butter needs, because in our bakery business that's the most vulnerable area of purchasing that we have.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time.
You're
It's
welcome.
really, really interesting. Enjoy the rest of the conference. Of course, best of luck for the panel tomorrow.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, see you later.